Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the League of Inches podcast, round 21 review show. Done and dusted. What a weekend it was. A couple of upsets, a couple of heavyweights flex their muscles, and some star power. There were some absolute stars of our game that really showed up and showed everyone why they are where they are in this great game of ours. So, and finish off with it was a great game in the first half this afternoon, the Dogs versus Manly game. And then the Bulldogs just ended up basically flexing their own premiership muscles, which we'll talk about later on, and were absolutely sensational in that second half. Absolutely just made Manly look second rate for majority of that second half. So plenty to discuss tonight. I've got Trav back on deck. He's keen to rip and tear into a review show. He hasn't done one for a while, but he's back here now. So he'll have the next couple. Trav, just quickly, we're going to dive into a lot tonight. It is a pretty busy show. But that weekend, mate, I'm pretty pumped after it, to be honest.
Yeah, as it should be a busy agenda after that weekend. What a weekend. We were blessed with some bloody good football and some close ones, and we weren't super excited going into this. I remember sitting on the live show just going, it's an easy one to tip, blah, blah, blah. This team's going to do it, boring. And I even remember saying, the only game I've penciled into my calendar is that Bulldogs Manly game. The rest of it, I'll just sit there and watch. But wow, we were blessed. How good was it? I think every game was pretty close. And in terms of the way it was contested, like even the Panthers West Tigers of 36-2, Panthers sort of dominated, but it didn't feel like it was a beatdown. And then the Raiders only in the second half, and then the Bulldogs only in the second half. We were just blessed with some good footy. It was good.
Yeah, we certainly were. Big shout out, obviously, to our major sponsor, Caxton Street Brewing Company, as well, helping us put on these shows each and every week for you and supporting the page on a daily basis. We really much appreciate it. Some really cool news to come. Hopefully, we can release it next couple of days. A couple more sort of events that we're going to host there. Coming up, and a couple of not live, but a couple of podcasts we will do. Some big ones, but we'll do it in person and make sure that quality is just a bit more up for you guys, which I'm sure you'll all appreciate that style of podcast and show as well. Other shout out is our League of Inches hoodies should be arriving this week. So if you haven't already, make sure you message the page. If you want to do your pre-orders and lock in your one of the first to get the hoodies, please message the page to get those. I'll put a picture back up and refresh everyone's memory over the next few hours of what they look like, so you've got it fresh in your mind. So as we always do, just quickly go through the ladder. A few changes after that weekend. So the Raiders remain on top of the premiership ladder. They are one whole win free at the moment, so alone on first spot. The Bulldogs next up, 34 points. Then it's the Storm, 32, and the Warriors, 30. So there's a one win separating each spot on the top four now. It's starting to work itself out a little bit. Then it's the Penrith Panthers on 27 points, so 3 points behind the Warriors. Keep an eye on them. They are coming. The Broncos, after that shock loss, 26 points with the Sharkies, and then the Dolphins round out the top 8 with that bye on 24 points. Manly are just outside on 24. The Roosters, 22 points. Then a little bit of a gap starting to form. I've probably put the pen through the rest of these. Cowboys are on 19 points, 3 points away from the Roosters and 5 points from the top 8. Then it's the Dragons, Tigers, Eels climb a few spots, Knights, Titans, and it's the Bunnies now last on the ladder. The Titans are off it after that shock win in New Zealand. Trav, are you with me there? Do you think from the Cowboys in 11th down, season over, start booking your Bali trips?
No, because I'm a bit of an optimist here in what's going on. And this is just a funny old year, isn't it? Like, it wasn't that it was 7 weeks ago when Penrith were on the bottom of the ladder and now they're fighting for a 4th spot. Like, the Dolphins were thereabouts and now they're sitting in 8th spot. I'm not ready to put a pen through many other than the Rabbitohs and the Titans. And I think also the Knights, although I actually have rated the way the Knights have somewhat played the last few weeks. To be fair, and to give credit where it's due, the Eels are only 3 games away from 8th spot. Now, I'm not trying to be the ever shine the light and get all happy and let's hope, hallelujah, the Eels are within a finals chance, but they're still mathematically in it. So, and I'm of the belief that mathematically, if you're still in it, anything can happen. So I think Eels, Tigers, Dragons, Cowboys, Roosters are mathematically still there. So, yeah, no, I'm not going to put a pen through them.
Well, you are much more optimistic than I am, but a credit to you for doing so. Can I just quickly start before we get into the agenda tonight? I also want to have a little bit of a rant. I'm sure you're going to back me up with this one. It's not a big one, but honestly, I just want to, over the weekend, obviously, first weekend off, not first, but it's a few days work-wise, and I wanted to sit back, relax, watch the footy, things like that. And I also thought, you know what, I'll flick on the Rugby League 26 game and have a few games, things like that, after all these patch updates over the last week or so, giving the game a chance to naturally evolve itself and get back to somewhat of a playable game. And I don't know if I'm alone here, but it's become probably worse than it was at the start. And that was saying something, because at the start it was a horrible game as well. I actually find it quite insulting to us league fans that it is where it's at the moment. Big Ant obviously don't give a flying F about any of it. They keep crying about how many hours they're currently doing. Well, I'd hate to know how many hours you did before this was released, because at the moment it feels like you've done about 2 hours every week for about a month period, then release the game. So the patches you are releasing, look, I'm not a huge gamer, but from what I read and understand, a lot of it is so minor, it's not funny. And all the big issues that have been there from day dot, majority of them are still around in the game, and players out of positions and ratings are just dramatically off. Things like that are just not fixed yet. The realism of playing the game just clearly isn't there for mine. Look, granted, I'm, as I said, a massive gamer. I'm probably average at the game as well, but the enjoyment factor, which was so hyped before this was released, has just, if I was a balloon, someone's literally just put a nail in it and popped it. I'm so over it already, and it's been out for 2 weeks. So really disappointed at the fact that it feels like the NRL has gone very quiet. I feel like that rumor last week about EA Sports and the money, and it was a bit of a slap in the face to us, to be honest. I don't know what the NRL were trying to achieve leaking that out, because all it made everyone feel like was, oh, how could would this be? And then realized, oh, hang on, they've just basically played with us a bit, and there was never going to be a reality of EA Sports jumping on board. So I don't know why you'd go out and release that. So if you're not happy with Big Ant, fix it, deal with it, and make sure there's a game out next year that starts from now, and with a different developer, things like that. And it gives us fans something to actually start playing and enjoy. It's just really disappointing, Trav. I don't know if you're in the same boat as me, but shout out to Jake. He's still doing the streams and stuff like that. He's enjoying it somewhat, I believe. But even he said that there's a lot of issues still. But I'm really disappointed by it, Trav.
The game was atrocious when it came out. The patched updates, I'm not as harsh on you in the patch updates, but the game is still horrible even now today. So it hasn't really improved. The thing is, and what's laughable is that the patch updates that they're doing are things that they shouldn't even be wasting their time doing. It should have been done before the game was released. Like, the fact is, I don't want to get into it because we'll sit here for 10 minutes and waste our time, and it doesn't need to. But yeah, the game is horrible. I don't enjoy it. I think the only thing I've done is play 3 career games as a Storm coach. I'm in the coach mode, played 3 games. I'm absolutely atrocious at this game. Have found a bit of a glitch, and I've won those 3 games by like 30 points. And I'm like, if I'm that bad and it's 30 points and I'm playing in pro, this game's crap. And then I haven't played any games in the pro team. Really got turned off by the pro team by all the glitch and the issues that happened there. As soon as it opened, I opened my packs, got next to nothing out of it. But to be fair, I got an 89 Tom Eisenhuth blue card. Come on now. Like, they haven't even released retired players, but you've got Tom Eisenhuth with an 89. Doesn't that not just tell you again, like, the garbage that they've put in front of people? So yeah, anyways, I opened that, got a Tom Eisenhuth, chucked him into my 2RF because the rest of my cards were crap. Thought, man, now I've wasted $122. Thanks. How can I bought the digital version. I can't take it back. I now wish I had bought the disc version, and I take it back straight to JB and said, this game's crap. I want my money back, because I can't do that as a digital.
Shout out Ludacris, bitch, I want my money back. Great line. Yeah. Excuse me. Sorry about the B word as well there. Sorry, but had to be said. Those Ludacris lovers out there will know where we're going there. Let's get straight into this agenda then. We could, as you said, there's actually more we could say on that topic, but let's not for now. Let us know in the comments your thoughts, and we'll reply and get back in there. The Melbourne Storm on the I only say must win in terms of they don't like going back-to-back losses. They very rarely do. And obviously a disappointing game the week before. They always wanted to come out and make sure they got a win up against one of the arch rivals for them, the Sydney Roosters. They did that. Trav, straight away, though, I'll go to you because you are the Storm fan on the page. And it wasn't looking great when your star halfback, Jerome Hughes, who has been in some good form of late, went down. We'll talk about the man who stepped up and really, I think, did a great job in saving that game for you. But your initial thoughts when Hughes went down, it has now been out news-wise. I think it's going to be a 4 to 6 weeker. So probably safe to say he'll be back not fully fit, but back playing by finals week 1 would probably be the plan for the Storm. We're seeing on Laquatu today. You don't want to rush these shoulder injuries at all. But all your thoughts, mate?
As soon as he went down, I went, uh-oh. And he was in so much pain. Generally with shoulder injuries and things like that, when you're in that much pain, it's not good. We've been blessed, Like there was no bone damage, no ligament damage, according to the MRI. So it's just a straight up dislocation, pop it back into place eventually when he got to hospital because they couldn't do it at the ground. And now it's time to just go and recover. And so, we've been blessed for that. Yeah, but initially it was, he's the reigning Dally M. Took us basically by manhandled ourselves last year to the grand final. I think he single-handedly did that. Munster only came back towards the end of the year and wasn't the Munster that we all love and know. So, it was a bit devo, but I'm much more optimistic now with the news. Plus also, it's not what we're talking about here, but some results on the weekend have kind of given us a little bit of leeway. The Broncos losing, the Wars losing, gives us that extra game just to muck around with. And we've got a pretty tough draw in the next few, but we've also got the depth. And that's the one thing that everyone says about the Storm is that, unlike many other clubs in the competition, the depth at the Storm is unbelievable. So we have the depth, and remember Munster's coming back. So it's not dire straits at all. But yeah.
Would you agree with this statement? I don't think you will, so I want to ask it. When it happened and we've seen how much pain Jerome Hughes was in, I thought straight away season over. And I actually thought to myself, and people could think it's a bit stupid, but I actually thought Melbourne Storm over in terms of winning the premiership, because I think Hughes has developed into that player now. He's so crucial to what you guys are doing. And yes, I know players will step up, things like that, but I question if players can step up for that duration. Like I think in those big games, in like a grand final, for instance, you want Jerome Hughes there playing. Now that's realistically now going to happen, luckily. But I was extremely concerned, Trav, about your side's chances of winning this competition if it was to have no Hughes for the rest. Tell me why you don't agree.
No, I don't agree. And actually, I replied back to you when you posted it in the draft group with all the boys and said I'm not on the same path. But I see what you're saying. Like, obviously, he's the reigning Dally M member. We know what he did. We know what he did last year. We know that he basically carried us all the way through. It's as simple as that. He goes down, and I get it. And it's. I think you were a bit heated and a bit caught in the moment when he goes down with that sort of pain, and you put up a post and said Storm season done, but et cetera, et cetera. And as a content creator, I don't blame you and I get it. But no, I disagree. I don't think our season's over. And the one thing that everyone keeps talking about is, and has said for years now, is we've got an amazing spine. But we also, the next part about it is that we've actually got some really good depth. And there is this mentality, next man up. And it's as simple as that. Like the Storm really do have a next man up mentality. And I've even heard other teams talk about the Storm's next man up mentality. Now, are they going to replace Hughes? Oh, hell no. Like Hughes is a freak. He's the probably, top 3 halfback in the competition. You can't replace that. But remember that we've got Munster to return this week coming, right? He didn't play on the weekend. We've got Pezzett in the wings, who's healthy at the moment. We've got Wishart in the wings, actually not even in the wings. He was playing on the weekend. We've got that depth to be able to cover. And then the other side of it too is we constantly talk over and over again about what that spine does. If it's Pappy's game, the rest of them kind of hop back and take a backward seat and get the ball into the hot hands. If it's Munster's game, it's give the ball to him. If it's Grant's game, it's give the ball to him. If it's Hugh's game, it's give the ball to him. And they're all happy to step back. I think with a Hughes injury, of many of the teams in the competition, if you can have an injury like that, it's obviously going to make some big changes, and there's going to have to be some sacrifices, and there's going to have to be some major game plan change, and there's going to be some teething problems, and we're not playing that great at the moment as it is. So there's going to be some issues with that. But yeah, I wouldn't at all, and it didn't even cross my mind once I heard about that Hughes, it's not so bad, that our season's impacted too much.
You've mentioned a name there. I do want to touch on for a little bit. Harry Grant. I thought he was absolutely sensational on Thursday. Goodness me, it was Thursday night now. That's seen where'd that weekend go? But he was absolutely huge, I thought, for you guys. And to be honest, he was playing well before the Hughes injury as well. Like he just sort of, I felt like he just went up another gear as well once Hughes went off, which to me shows the signs of an absolute star of our game, which Harry Grant is, to recognize he's now the guy to go into that game without Munster and then without Pappenhausen as well, to lose your third member of your spine, for him to step up and play the game that he did, I just thought was absolutely phenomenal. And I think that what sums it up the most is the fact that Josh King, not a noted try scorer, scored a double, which meant Harry Grant changed the style completely of how the Storm were playing, and he did it on the run. And I just thought, it's such a smart play. And I think Harry Grant gets enough credit for how smart of a footballer he actually is. And I think everyone got to see and appreciate on the weekend what he is and how crucial he is to this premiership charge that the Storm will no doubt be on. He is so crucial to this side, Trav.
I love your call here, and I love what you're saying is that people underestimate how actually smart this guy is. You know, we know that he's a freak of a player. He's the best hooker when he's on his day in the competition, and even when he's only 75%, he's probably still the best hooker in the competition. But there is an element that we underestimate with him because of who surrounds him and who's his coach that we don't truly see. And even in Origin, you know, who surrounds him and what's happened in his past of, you know, we need Harry Grant to come off the bench. Ben Hunt comes and plays that first fiddle role, and then he goes and plays his 60 minutes and does what he does. It's because people still underestimate how good this guy is and how smart he is. We have to remember that he's our captain, right? Not Hughes, not Munster, not Pappy, you know, not Josh King. Like Harry Grant's the captain. From watching that game, the first half he was really good. I agree with you, but in the second half when Hughes went down, you could literally just see in his face. He went, right, I've got to do this, and I'm going to see. And he single-handedly changed the game. He single-handedly on the run, as you said, changed the way we played. It was incredibly fast play of the ball. It was really quick pass to your big dogs running through. It was attack the line, draw the guy in, quick pass out. Like, you know, Stefano played his best game of the year on the weekend, and I think that's a year-defining game that Stefano had. But why did Stefano play so well? It was because of the ball that Harry was giving him and the way that he was, and what Harry forced him to do. You mentioned Josh King. You know, he's very underrated, and people don't really pick up what he does game in, game out, and he doesn't always get the stats that makes him aware of what he does, but he's worth every cent to our team and what he can do. He just and what was funny is that because of the way that Harry changed the way we played, the Roosters couldn't adapt either. And it was just so funny watching the cogs of the Roosters. Well, funny's not the right word, but it was just so interesting watching the cogs of the Roosters trying to figure out how the hell to stop Harry Grant at the time. Like it was just so amazing to watch coaching on the fly and the way that it changed. Yeah. Incredible game. Really enjoyed that. Obviously, it's Storm won, but yeah, it was an incredible game. And full credit to the Roosters, man. They turned up to play, and Tupou was a freak on the wing, like unstoppable. Like we just had no answers for him. But yeah, full credit to the way that they played, because they actually, to be fair, deserved that win. And it was only just some really real class of the Storm to get up.
No one ever talks about Tupou. It's quite funny, but I reckon he's had one of those years once again. Like he's just gone about his business, gets up the meters, does his hard work, scores some tries that most wingers can't score, and it's like we've gotten used to it now, and no one talks about him.
Yep.
But he has actually been really consistent for a side that's been without a lot of their big names, and we all spoke about the players that they did lose to come into this season, and it was a whole heap of them. Granted, it was a talking point, but Tupou's still there. Tupou's still going about his work, and Tupou has been really, really good for the Roosters all year. So it's a great shout out there. Forgot to ask you before I go to the next topic, just obviously our League of Inches Player of the Week award. It's up now live. Go and vote over the social medias, Instagram and Facebook. I want to ask you, Trav, who your winner is out of these three? So you got Mitchell Moses, Thomas Dearden, and Nathan Cleary. Who would you be voting for out of those three?
Yeah, I've done my vote, and I voted for Dearden. I just what he did on that weekend, what he did in that game is just unreal. Like Moses was great the way that he led, and obviously Moses doesn't have to get the statistics to make him look good. It's what he brings to the team and the aura around the team that makes the team lift. And when Para play well, or they get a win, it's off the back of Moses, but he doesn't have to do a lot. Like it's phenomenal the position that he has and the power that he has in that club. And I thought Cleary was great, but I actually think Lindsay Smith was better than Cleary on the weekend. So I'm not going to put Cleary, but Tom Dearden was amazing.
Is Dearden a long lost son of yours or something? I've got a few people that asked me over the years, like, you've been a huge fan.
Have a look at his stats.
Dearden. Every time you get a chance to rev him up, you do. And we're all for it now, but I just thought I'd ask the question while we're live on air, just to get the answer off you.
I wish he was my long lost son. I'd be rich and famous, and I'd get free tickets to games, and how we go. But no, mate, credit where it's due. Like, the dude's been a freak, and I've called him out too when I've not liked what he's done and how he's gone. I'm happy to say things and that sort of stuff. And I've traded him out of my super coach at points because I was pissed off with what he was doing. And then a few weeks later, he then turns it on and have a look what he's doing. Like, yeah, credit where it's due though. He's been phenomenal, and he's changed the way that the Cowboys play, and the Cowboys are a completely different team when he's there.
Yeah, no, 100%. All righty, let's get on to the next point. This is just away from the games for a second. I just wanted to bring this one up because I basically write just some notes each week as I watch games and things like that. And one note that I made a couple of times this week, and I was going to have some points here about the actual examples, but I just ran out of time. So my apologies there, but you'll all footy fans know what we're talking about when I bring this up. I feel like officials are going out of their way at the moment to not use the sin bin. Where start of the year, they were overdoing the sin bin. Unless you're Jack Wyden, yes. Apart from that one, there was a number of other occasions I've seen this week where it was a clear professional foul, and sin bin was the only way it could have gone. Like, it was the only option for the referee to give. And all we get after a big thing, and we watch it on replay 30 times, he just points at the player and goes, on report. Like, I think it's an absolute cop-out that we've gotten to the point now where it's literally one extreme to the other, where at the start of the year, like I said, it's if you touch a guy on the face, if you just scratch him on the face, you're a sin bin. But now, clear professional fouls are not even going. How can we go so polar opposites inside a season? I'm not even talking about different seasons. I'm talking about the same season here. I'm talking about 3-4 months ago. Like, Trav, I don't know. I'm just getting so frustrated. Like, I'm watching the game thinking, I'm a pretty good judge of the game. I know my rugby league, I like to think. And then these calls happen. I'm sitting there starting to question myself, going, do I not know the game? Like, and then I see the chats and stuff and everyone else is blowing up. So I'm like, okay, sweet. How do the officials who are in these positions, and I can understand if the referee on the ground doesn't always get it right. I can get that spur of the moment. They might slightly miss something, but the bunker, there is absolutely no excuse to not be getting these right. And to be off at the moment, to be honest, I reckon more often than not, they're wrong in these situations.
Yeah, well, the bunker can't be getting it right then because they're not calling it, and they haven't been calling it for a few weeks now. So clearly there's, as you said, and the first thing you said was as you have alluded to, well, not even alluded to, you clearly stated that they've been given the message that they don't want guys in the bin. It's as simple as that. What dumbfounds me is, and the example is the Jack White and sin bin. I'm okay with the Jack White and sin bin. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with that is that that's by far not the worst incident over this weekend, let alone last weekend, let alone the weekend before. Yet that's a sin bin. It's like my mind's blown, man. I don't get it. It makes no sense. And the problem with that one is it costs ours the game, man. Like, and that's it. It's a game defining game moment. Sorry, it's infuriating. It really is. It's infuriating. I would love to be able to now go back to like week 6, was it, when they put out was it week 6 or week 4, 5 or 6? It was in there somewhere when the league came in and said, we're changing it. Here it is. Here's the line. I actually wish we went back to what it was that started the game for whatever that first few weeks was, because there was some sin bins in there. They were calling the penalties. We were not arguing with horrible forward passes and bunker calls and all sorts of things. Yet we still weren't happy with some of the bits and pieces. And then, but I much preferred that game what we're getting now from our officiating and what the bunker and what the sin binning is doing. It blows my mind. It just blows my mind, man. I'm lost for words. I don't have it for the viewers. I'm sorry. I don't have an answer. Like, I'm watching this thinking, why is that not a sin bin? It makes no sense to me. Why is the bunker? And then to take this even further, how did the bunker call that straight line? How did the bunker not pick up Teddy's offside? How did the bunker? But then the bunker the night after picks up Walsh's offside. Like, what? And this is what pisses the fans off, mate. Like, this is what really pisses it off, is the exact same situation, pretty much centimeter for centimeter, the same, and they're different. They're different outcomes. It's mind blowing, man. And I don't know. I don't have your answers for you, and it's disgusting. I'm actually really appalled with the officiating where it's going.
The scariest part of this whole thing at the moment is we are getting closer and closer to the finals as well.
Yep.
The premium part of our season, and it just is really haunting me at the moment that we're going to be impacted severely on multiple occasions by some horrible refereeing decisions. Because at the moment, if I'm being honest, and I hope you're listening, because they probably are, because I don't think they like us, but I just feel like we don't even have 4 referees up to refereeing finals at the moment. And that's what we're going to need to do for the first week. Then it goes down to 2 referees for the next 2 lots of games. And then the main one for the grand final. Like, I'm struggling at the moment to pick 2. Like, 1 or 2, like, who seem up to that level at the moment to confidently referee and officiate a grand final or a key semi-final. Like, I just, like, even the first week, that they're knockout games in that. They're teams getting sent home in week 1 of finals, and we've got referees out there. And sorry to name names, but I think it's time we start to just address the elephant in the room. But Belinda Sharp, you are just not at NRL level at the moment, and I don't know why they're continuing to push this. And this has nothing at all to do, and I don't want to hear the comments and get the comments about, oh, she's a female. No, it has absolutely nothing to do with it. It has to do with the NRL putting these referees on the grand stage of all. There's no reason why she can't just be doing NRLW at the moment, plying her trade, getting better. This feels like it's been forced down the throats. Look, there is other referees that aren't doing a great job either. Ash Klein, I've said it before, hasn't quite been at the level that the NRL trying to force down our throat. He's at that level, but he gets the top games each and every week, it feels like. So, I'm just really disappointed, really worried where this game is heading at the moment. And again, it's the business end of the year where some rules have been thrown out the window, some rules are back. They're all of a sudden refereeing, and I don't mind it, but I love how it's just was avoided for 3 months now. But the roll the ball, making sure the foot's on the ball, like, I like that it's back and they're refereeing it. But there was so many over the last. No, yeah, they are, but they're not at the same time. There's still some that aren't getting referees, like where they pin it when they want, and that's it's like very, very frustrating.
They pin it in moments. It's not just like the first tackle on the 30-meter mark, when you've got 60 meters to go. Like, it's not just random times. They pick it at moments. Like, it just clearly shows. It screams out favoritism, but it screams out cheating. Like, and I hate to use that word, but it does. It screams it out. And I'm now not of even the belief that And I see it in comments all the time, like the top teams get the run of the mill. It's not even that anymore. Like it's everyone's getting poor calls. Like it's just a disgusting way of officiating at the moment, to where it's truly, Joel, it's ruining the game, man. It's and we often are not talking about the game. We're not talking about the players. We're not talking about the skill that's on show. We're talking about key moments in games that the officials really stuffed up. And it's not even like it's like the core and the ethos of the game of rugby league, right? I constantly question this notion of forward pass. Like, what is that? The ethos of rugby league is to pass the ball backwards to go forwards, and the only time the ball can go forwards is by kicking. But yet every single freaking game we are watching forward passes not get called. And then we're questioning some of the forward passes that are, and going, what? Like, how are you picking that one over the one that was 3 passes before that was 5 meters forward, but you didn't pick that one? Like, it's just mind blowing. And I don't know. I feel like we constantly, and I'm really sick of it. And I think that the NRL need to wake up and sit there and think, are they really proud with this product? Like, are they really? And I think they are, because they clearly keep talking around how there's more people watching, we're making more money, and blah, 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 blah. But
it's money.
No,
As long as they're making money, the NRL don't really care, to be honest. Yeah. And they'll put all the actual fixing of the refereeing, the bunker, and all that sort of thing, playing managers, all that sort of thing, are in too hard basket, because, to be honest, it doesn't really impact them making money or not, because they're making the most they've ever made. So
people still turn in that department. People still watch.
Yeah, welcome
to subscriptions.
Welcome to running a great business. But I think the product is starting to get impacted somewhat. Moving on, because we could be here for hours talking about that. I think everyone could agree there and say their own points. Pub talk's coming. Mitchell Moses, I just wanted to talk about, from a Parramatta point of view, obviously a huge win on the weekend, gets them off that bottom spot at the moment. He came back after, it felt like almost a year off. It was a couple of months, but made an instant impact. And as a Para fan, it always, emotionally, that game was a lot. Like that ending, Reece Walsh and then scoring, and I just felt so bad for Joe Ash, because he was having a really good game, and I just thought, this is not right, footy gods, to do this to him after a great game, and his confidence would be going up after the week before he had an average game in the 6. I thought, this is harsh. Then to finally get a call that went our way, it feels like it's been a while, was huge. But Mitchell Moses was just, it makes you realize and remember just how damn good he is. And we've seen it before at Origin, and played for Kangaroos last year. And when he's at that level, like, he's one of the best players in our competition. But also, as a Para fan, it makes me think, goodness me, I'd love to see him go through a season, where we would be at if this was actually like just him fully fit for a season, where we could be as a club. Because I think it's a credit that we do improve so much with him. He's a great player. And you see it with Penrith. Penrith are a better team with Nathan Cleary. It's just natural. But Trav, just your thoughts on the Moses performance in itself. I just thought it was really, really good. He's right up there with, as I said, our player of the round. But your thoughts?
It's amazing how a halfback can change the crust and ethos of a team, especially one like Moses. So if I go through his statistics, because it will actually, you tell me what you think, because just statistically, 1 try assist, 4 runs, 16 meters, 1 tackle bust, no offloads, no line break assists, 8 tackles, and then kicking game, 22 kicks, 747. Like, you talk about those statistics and tell me, like, if that was most other players, we wouldn't be saying a single thing, would we? And if anything, we'd be calling out going, how's this guy getting a game? But it's not what Moses does statistically that changes the Eels, right? It's amazing. And I said this at the start, right, is that it's that aura, it's the persona that as soon as he walks through the door, and I haven't been to Para, I'd like to go there, but I haven't actually been there. I haven't seen the players and all of that and what he brings to that. But I can only watch what I see on the TV and the results that when he plays, what they're like. It's different. Like it's amazing. I don't think I can't think of a player, maybe Cam Smith, that can change a team like he does, and the way that they play. I don't think there is. Like, obviously, Cleary is amazing, and to me, he's the best player in the competition, has been for a few years. I get it, but he doesn't have that aura that Moses has. Like, it's just amazing that statistically he can put up what he did, and yet they go and beat the Broncos in Brisbane. It's phenomenal, man. It's phenomenal, and I would love a Para fan to tell me how he does it, because statistically he didn't do anything except for his kicking game. Obviously, his kicking game, 22 kicks for 747 is fantastic. But yeah, it's incredible to watch the difference. And you look through that whole list, there's injuries plethora. Yet they go and beat the Broncos on the back of Moses turning up. It's just phenomenal. He's a freak.
And the Broncos basically being as full strength as there's been all year.
They were full strength.
Yeah, it was. Look, from what I've seen from Moses, and I'm glad you brought the stats up, because from the stats, you think about it and you go, he wasn't probably in the top 10 players of the round, let alone in the top 3 that we've got, but it's everything else. Like, he was an on-field coach, I felt like, and I don't want to ramp this up too much because people go, you're talking shit now, but you could look back in that grand final.
Seriously, go about it. Do it, because you're worth it. It's worth it.
It makes me remember back to that grand final that Cooper Cronk played for the Roosters, where he had that busted shoulder and he was just on field, and he just literally was the on-field coach the whole time. And that's what Moses did, I felt like. And the good thing with Moses, and we hear Riles all the time, and he's just speaking honestly to the fans, which I love, but he sometimes makes it feel like he's given the players a little bit of an out with some of the words he uses and how he goes, yeah, we're rebuilding this year. But I felt like whenever Moses has been on the field, and we've seen it a couple of times on the weekend, where he'll lose it and he'll snap and he'll demand better of that player straight away. And that's when you hear the commentators talk about players lifting. Like, I've been in a situation playing touch and stuff where if I'm playing with a certain few players who are just guns, I know I need to be up at that level to stay with them, and I'm scared to let that player down. And I just feel like that's exactly what the players feel like when they go out and they see Mitchell Moses leading him out now. Now he's got the captaincy. Now he barks at him even more and gives it to him. I think that's what they need, and that's what I was so impressed with. We already know, and the kicking in itself stats are phenomenal once again, but we're used to that with Moses now. That's what he's known for, that kicking game, and anything less than that would be disappointing. So to be up there and against a live wire fullback like Walsh, to be able to hit the ground so many times like he did, I thought was he put on a clinic with that department alone, and it actually helped probably our forwards who have really struggled, I felt like, a lot of times this year, be on the front foot and play with a bit more energy, because they weren't having to turn and chase so much and all going down in one line. There was no staggered lines, things like that. So altogether, I just think it was a really good performance. I just want to do one small shout out, and you might laugh at this, but as being a guy who I've been very critical of this year, I actually thought Jermaine Hopgood had his best game of the year. I actually thought he was really, really good on the weekend, defensively especially, which I think I've been very critical about. Look, there was a couple of other really good players, but I just thought, because I have bagged him quite a bit, I will want to give him some credit when it is due publicly, and just say I did think he actually had a pretty good game. Got back to a bit of the Hopgood of old that we all have known and loved for a while now, especially those super coaches out there listening.
I'm not going to laugh at you. I'm not going to sit with you, though, and think he deserves a shout out. I actually think there's about 3 other dudes I think deserves a bigger shout out. But defensively, 41 tackles, no missed tackles. These are stats off NRL.com, by the way, everybody. 84 meters from a premier forward, who played 64 meters. I'd actually much prefer a lot more meters than that. Only 2 tackle busts, no line breaks, and no line break assists. I thought he was good. He was okay, not great. I wouldn't give him a shout out, but I see what you're doing, and I see why.
I thought you'd also laugh because of the backstory. That's why. I'm not saying.
Yeah,
I don't think he was one of the best players. But yeah,
I'm subtly trying to get around that without getting around that. But I'll give you. I'll give you two that I think should be absolutely shouted out well before him. One is Zach Lomax and the work that he puts in. And I get it. You could almost give Zach Lomax a shout out every week, but you got to give credit where it's bloody well due. Like it's Lomax, man. And the next one I actually want to give a major shout out to is, and I really liked what he did on the weekend, was Penasini. And I really enjoyed that game from him, and thought he locked that edge up so well. And the Broncos just had not much to answer for him, and they just couldn't get past him. And, 17 tackles. Look, he missed 3, but that's because of who he was coming up against. And those 3 missed tackles were pretty freakish opportunities when he got through. So I think they were at least 2. And I actually really like what Joash Papali'i did in that game. He had his moments. He had some major moments. So how was that first few minutes with that run had? Like, holy moly. Like, you're just sitting there thinking, this is still a kid. This is a baby still playing the big boys and being thrust into the fullback position against the Broncos, who are fighting for a top 4, and off you go. Like, what a blessing Para have, and a great problem to have, that you've got 2 very good fullbacks that you've got to fight. I think the problem is you're not going to be able to keep one of them. So it'll be interesting to see, because I think Papali'i is a natural fullback and going to be a very good fullback. So I don't know. I would be trying to get him out of the halves personally, but yeah, I just there's 3 dudes I'd like to give a shout out before I go and give Hopgood one.
Well, just the good thing with both of those fullbacks at the moment, they are tied down longer term. So hopefully we can just find a way to make it work. Granted, one will probably be just out of position, but I think they're both very good talents. I'd love to have them at my club and not see one of them have to leave. Just on the Broncos, Trav, we do have to touch on it. It was a very disappointing performance. So I don't want to take anything away from Parramatta. I thought they were very, very good. But I was really disappointed in what the Broncos brought forward. You mentioned it. They're in a top 4 battle now. They'll be kicking themselves even more now that the Warriors lost on the weekend, which would have had them knocking on the door for a top 4 berth now. But couple of little, like, Payne Haas for mine clearly wasn't himself still, and it made me feel like, why rush him yet this week? They didn't need to. They're not in a position where it's must win, and why would you risk further injury to one of your star players who you do need come September to be fit and firing? Bit of a risk, and I think I didn't buy it at all what Madge was saying in his presser after the game about, Haas is all good and things like that. No, he's not. He isn't quite where he should be at the moment. And to be honest, I'd probably go to a stretch of say I'd probably rest him this week as well, to be honest with you. Just not quite himself. And he obviously, I think it was at the end, he got the ankle injury also, which now adds on top to another, obviously, injury that's playing around with him. So his legs are completely busted, it feels like. And give the poor man a rest. I know he just had 2 weeks, but he clearly needs a bit more than what he just had. It was hard to watch him, even though it was an opposition player. It was hard to watch Payne not being the Payne that we're used to at the moment. He's in pain.
No pun intended. And he played 49 minutes on the weekend, 15 runs, 130, 2 tackle busts. Like, that's like
a good, decent.
That's decent meters. It's not Payne Haas numbers, though. Like, it's not that dominating bull rush through the middle, offloading beast that we're used to with Payne Haas, right? Only 2 tackle busts, according to the NRL stats, is pretty poor for the standards of Payne Haas. And then even then, like, only 32 tackles, which to me shows that he's probably trying to avoid a few bits of contact and avoiding a few things, and that's not good. I don't blame Payne Haas for this loss, though. He definitely looks injured. I agree with you. I don't think he should have played on the weekend, and to be fair, I'd be very surprised if he's named and playing this weekend. And if he is, I mean, he's just a beast. Now, to be able to do what he's doing, like, and we know we've been talking about Payne Haas being injured since before Origin. He's got to play 3 Origin games and backed up each time. Like, he's just a freak.
One player I want to talk about, and it's probably got to do with the Broncos moving forward, is Reece Walsh and his game on the weekend. Once again, I felt like it was a Reece Walsh of old, and in a funny way, I found it a weird time for him to do this as well, because I felt like he's actually been improving over the last month or so of football with his game style and getting a lot smarter with how he does go about it. And then all of a sudden we've got the Broncos basically full strength, and we've got the Reece Walsh of old, and I mean that by very over the top. He was just doing way too much, in my opinion. When you've got a good halves pairing there, you've got Ben Hunt there organising the ruck. He didn't need to, and I actually feel like if he just wound it down a couple of notches, I reckon the Broncos are running away with the win here. I actually feel like Reece Walsh had a lot to do with keeping Parramatta in the contest at stages, and then allowing Parramatta to sort of break free somewhat, even though yet the Broncos did come back into the game. But do you know what I'm trying to say there, Trav? I just felt like it was one of those games where we did get that Walsh of old, where half the stuff he was doing, there was no need to. Like, just instead of going for that cutout pass or things like that, dummy and run. Like, you got a very good running game. Use it.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 errors. And there were 3 really crucial errors, weren't they? And then the penalty of being offside was probably just the icing on the cake, really, where that sort of thing shouldn't happen. You should just know your position on the court, on the ground, and be in the right position to make those calls, especially when you're that good. It was very much rocks and diamonds, though, wasn't it? Like, there was some flashy brilliance where we just sat there and went, God, the game's so much better when Reece Walsh is playing like this. And then there was other parts where we went, oh man, Reece Walsh, what are you doing? Like, and you're sort of face palming, and thinking, what are you doing?
I was fist pumping.
Yeah, well, for you, yeah, absolutely, and bloody well should be. What a game they played. I'm actually disappointed, and I'm not going to put the blame, and I'm not disappointed so much in Reece Walsh. I'm really disappointed in the narrative of what the Broncos have come out and done since this has happened. This is pretty much what they've spoken about in all the post-match comments, press conferences, Madge talking, like how we curb Reece Walsh. Reece Walsh cost, basically they said, without actually saying it, the old innuendo type thing is Reece Walsh cost us that game. Well, actually, no, he didn't. And to be fair, I think Reece Walsh had to step up and do some things, because I just don't think the way that they're playing in their attack is good enough. And Reece Walsh kind of had to come through. And I'm really disappointed that Madge and Reynolds and all that had to come through and say, you know, I've got to be better here. I've got to be able to curb Reece Walsh and do that. I look at it a little bit differently and think, hang on, you all need to take some ownership here and fix what you're doing, and fix your own house before you start having a go at what Reece Walsh has done. Because without Reece Walsh, I'll be fair and say that you wouldn't even been in anywhere in that position, because I think he was great, apart from obviously some dumb moments in bits and pieces. So I'm a little bit indifferent into what you're saying here, but absolutely get it.
Yeah. Moving over to another side that was disappointing on the weekend. I think that was the New Zealand Warriors, for, again, what they were playing for. Basically, could secure, after the Broncos' loss, they could almost secure their top 4 berth, and basically just say see you later to all those chasing. They've now kept the door ajar, and it was a really disappointing performance. It was they started so well, and then the player I want to talk about here and pinpoint how important he is to the team. I know they've got no Luke Metcalf. I know they've got Mitch Barnett. They've still been able to play some decent footy without both of those players over the last few weeks. Not quite what they have done. Yes, there's been some impact, but they've still been able to go. They started on fire this game. I thought Wade Egan was absolutely huge to start this game for the Warriors, in and around the ruck, causing the Titans mayhem. He was just an absolute pain in their backside to start this one. But obviously then he got injured, got the HIA, wasn't back in the game. And I think the Warriors, we've seen how important Wade Egan is for this side, and how key he is to them doing anything in this competition for the remainder of the year. If he's to go down, he's injured or whatever for an extended period of time, you can basically say see you later to the Warriors season, in my opinion. That's how important Wade Egan is. And I think many out there forget just how good he can be at dummy half and how vital he is for the Warriors. Trav, I just thought it was very noticeable how different they played once the departure of Wade Egan in that game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. He's certainly the engine room. Hey, like he's the way that they move. He's the way that they get any go ahead. He's the way that they get any sort of side to side action is based off him. And obviously he's the hooker. So that's the buck stops with him. He's the first player of the ball, but he was the reason why at the start of the season they were actually thereabouts and were able to do a couple of things that they had. And to be fair, I had Wade Egan as the starting hooker for the Origin for the Blues because of the way that he set up that start of the season. Once then Metcalf and CHT realized that we can be runners here and all I need to do is play the ball off the back of, or get the ball off the back of Wade Egan, who's going to set me up in a really good spot. I can then run and use my game and then do a really good kick and set us up and off we go. And Wade Egan was able to take a big step back and let those two boys just do what they did, to the point where they got themselves up into the top 4 and we're talking about premiership favorite and all that sort of stuff. The Metcalf injury was definitely tough for them. But since then, I think Wade Egan's been really good and has had to be able to do what he did at the start of the season, where it's quick play of the balls. I make the decisions. I'm the engine room and off I go. And isn't it quite funny how very interesting how there's 3 current hookers who are really doing that and playing that way. And those teams are doing pretty well. Like, let's have a look at Blake Bailey and how he's been playing and what he's doing, right? Like, and it's that same sort of notion though. Hey, like, it's that play the ball, it's grab that straight through, it's the quick run, it's then the offload, it's the pass, it's the tackle line, it's do all that sort of stuff. Wade Egan's doing that too. And yeah, he's definitely that engine cog, and he's the pistons, and he's everything in that Warriors team. And you're right. If he can't stay healthy, like, hey, they're in big trouble. They're in big trouble.
They are. He's just that player for him, isn't he? He just is that guy who will just give them the. And I love the fact that Michael Ennis was commentating this game, and I love when he commentates and the hookers are put on a bit of a show, because he pinpointed, I think it was the second set of this game, that Wade Egan actually took a run, and that's not really common for hookers. And normally they wait 5, 6, 7 sets or so once the game gets into a bit of movement and the forwards start to tire, and then they'll pick their time to dart. But the fact that Wade Egan went so early, Michael Ennis said straight away, he goes, he's on tonight. Like, he's going to have one of those games. It was just so unfortunate that within a couple of sets later, he went a bit low, got hit in that head, and we weren't able to see it, because I got no doubt now. I know the Titans were very brave, very good, but if Wade Egan stays on that field, I don't think the Warriors actually allow the Titans to get back into that game. So that's how big of a loss Wade Egan was in this one. So, look, credit and quick shout out to Desi on his 500 games. Great milestone. It's been, what a week it's been for Desi. The week before, probably getting spoken shit about with all his players and that. Obviously, how he blew up and half that dressing room hating him, and who knows what the owners are thinking in being in the shed at the same time. But then to obviously rally and they got up obviously for their coach, even though he'll be gone by the end of the year. Shout out to Desi Trav. It was a really good performance, and he's been a coach on the nose of a few out there for a long time. But I think one thing we can all agree, he's had a tremendous career. If this is the end of the road, at least he's got to 500. That's a huge milestone in itself. And he's been a character, and he's also been a really good coach for a lot of those years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this game, and I said this to you guys in our DMs, I actually think that was the best win of the weekend. I just think under the circumstances, you got the Titans on the bottom of the ladder, the fallout from the spray last week, Tino not playing, who's like, their be all and end all. Like, you talk around the persona and what Moses has, like have a think around what Tino has at the Titans. Like, it's just that same important. And he's out for basically the year, as we've called it. And then they go to New Zealand, man. Like, they go to New Zealand. This wasn't in the Gold Coast. This was there. It was at their home across the ditch, and win like that. Like, yeah, that I just full credit to them, actually. And I think they definitely outplayed it. And whilst the loss of Egan was huge, but that's rugby league. Like, this is what happens. This is the HIA context that we're in now. So you've just got to be able to adapt and deal with it. And I think the Titans were fantastic, and they well deserved that win. They played really well and made the Warriors play the way that they played.
Yeah. I'm about to make a very out there statement, and I'm very interested to hear your thoughts. Penrith Panthers are my premiership favourites. Thoughts?
No. No, I don't. I don't agree. I think you're caught up in hype of 7 games in a row. You're caught up in 4 premierships in a row. I get it. Like, I see what you're doing, but no, I don't think they're the favourites. And to be honest, you put that post out, and then the Bulldogs turned up on the week today and just capitulated Manly. Right, just absolutely dominated them. And the Bulldogs just goes out and shows that, hang on, guys. Hey, we're not just a defensive team. We have major attack too. And then put that back to bed and said, yeah. And I get that Penrith beat the Bulldogs a few weeks ago. Yeah, I get that. I understand. But no, I don't think Penrith are the premiership faves, but they are going to be a scary team. And there are going to be teams that are sitting there thinking, I really don't want to play Penrith. I don't care whether it's at our house or wherever it is at a neutral venue. I have no interest in playing Penrith this year. I just want to avoid them.
And I think that's why, for mine, they're premiership favourites, because I reckon every other team in that top 8, when they finish the season, will all agree that Penrith are probably that side that they don't want to verse. I think it's quite scary how they played on the weekend. Now, I've seen a few of the comments, and I've seen a few people message and stuff on Instagram and Facebook and go, it's only the Tigers, calm down, blah, blah, blah. Like, I didn't look at that. I look at how they played on the weekend, and the Tigers brought it to them at the start of that game. It was actually a decent start to that game, and the Tigers are up. It was the fact that Penrith were able to go then, not just probably a level, but they went up a couple of levels all of a sudden and just went, see you later, Tigers. And the Tigers almost felt like they just stood there and waved to them and said, okay, goodbye. We can't stick with that anymore. And that's a credit to Penrith. Like, yes, the Tigers have been the Tigers, and they haven't been playing tremendous football by any means, but at the same time, they were up for that. They had a lot of ex-Penrith players in that side who no doubt had that circled in the calendar. They wanted to show up and make a big statement. Early on, they did, but then when the going got tough, they weren't able to match it. I think that's just a credit. I think so. As fans, so often we actually don't give the team that won enough credit, and we always just try and find ways to downplay that victory, where this for mine was more of a statement win by Penrith to go, we're here now. We know where we are on the ladder. We're going to be in the finals this year. We'll be playing finals football, and look out. There is not, like you sort of said, Trav, there is not a single team out there who will be playing finals football that will see and do that little brackets and pair things up and will try and avoid Penrith at all costs. Yes, you'll have to beat them at some stage to win the grand final, no doubt about that. But they've been there, they've done it before. That's part of the reason for sure. They're on 7 in a row. For sure, part of the reason. But Nathan Cleary, that was probably the best game Nathan Cleary's played all year. And it was just, he was so good. You mentioned it. Lindsay Smith has just, the last month or so, has just gone back to that player that he was at the end of last year, where people started to go, holy crap. Like, yes, they're losing James Fisher-Harris, but Lindsay Smith has started to take that leap forward to be that next guy up. And he sort of started to do that again. I think Moses Leota has actually been fairly quiet, but that's a scary, because I know what he can produce. I know when the big games are there, he'll step up and he'll be that big dog. Yo was back to Yo on the weekend, and he hasn't quite. I wouldn't say critical is the right word, but he just hasn't been himself for a lot of this year. He's looked tired. He's looked a bit drained. Where I think that rest that he gave both Cleary and Yo was the best thing he could have done for that side last week. They all look fresh now, like they all do, and Edwards has gone back to being one of the best fullback in the game. He's just been a tremendous month or so of football. It's scary. It is very, very scary in my opinion. And I'm very eager to see what this next 6 or 7 weeks of the regular football season has in store, because if the Warriors slip up one more time, I reckon the nerves will start to kick in, and Penrith will just smell blood in the water. They'll pounce. I can see them Penrith Panthers right now finishing in the top 4, and that's even more scary. To know then they've got a free shot in the finals is every team's worst nightmare.
Yeah. I'm not going to get into the Penrith hype right now just because of who they've played in the last 7 weeks, bar one game, and then what they did before that. And we're also going to get hype with the Penrith Panthers, but they play the Titans next week, and then they've got the Knights the week after. Like, it's not really a true testament of where we see the Panthers at. They're going to win those 2 games comfortably. We're all going to, particularly you, Joel, are going to get on the hype train, and well deserved, and so you should, like the way that they're going. But like, They beat up the Tigers. I get what you're saying. It was a competitive game, I thought, but it was just it's the Tigers, and it was all class. The week before that, they beat up the Rabbitohs. We know what the Rabbitohs are. The week before that, they beat up the Eels. Then they had the bye. The week before that, they had a gutsy win where they beat the Bulldogs 8-6. Great win there. The week before that, they went to Auckland and had probably the best win of the year when half their team was out. Still stuck in Perth for Origin. The week before that, they just beat the Tigers in an ugly game, 18-14. The week before that, they just beat Para, which I actually feel like if I go back to that game and remember rightly, Para was well in that game. The week before that, they got flogged to the Knights. The week before that, they had a bye. The week before that, they drew to the Cowboys 30-all. So, I'm not going to get into...
Not back. They're not back there. They're new.
Yeah, but I'm not going to... we're calling on, okay, they've won 7 in a row, blah, 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 blah. I get it. But if we're going to say that, we also have to say who they played. And you're right. Okay, I'm not going to look just on who they've played, but how they do it. But you're also playing against that opposition, and that's what they're bringing. I just don't want to get into that hype just yet. I want to wait round 22, round 23. They'll more than likely be in the top 4 by then because they should win those games. And then they've got the Storm, which will be a huge game at CommBank. Then they've got the Raiders, which will be a huge game at in Mudgee, actually. And then they've got a huge game against the Bulldogs at a core. So by the end of that, that's when I'll start to judge the Panthers and see where they're at. But until then, I'm not going to get onto that hype.
One final thing. I'm going to call for it now, please. Hopefully this reaches Penrith hierarchy. In the finals this year, can we see them bring back that gold and black jersey? I think that would be a phenomenal thing.
I actually think they should be playing every week with it.
100%. That should be their home jersey. I love that. I don't think it's cocky at all. I just think it's you've got 4 in a row, flaunt it, do it. Yeah. No one else has done it. No one else will do it again in the NRL era. So do it. So please, final series, bring it back. Just we are that team. Beat us. You want to win the comp? Beat us. Yeah, I'd love it.
Yeah. I do too. I actually think, as I said, I think that should be their jersey. I really like the pink jersey for their away games. I really do like that one. But 100%. Flaunt it, be arrogant about it. You've done something that's monumental and a dynasty, and it's not going to happen. And to be fair, they've actually made 5 grand finals in a row and won 4 of them in a row. So, they deserve it. Should wear it. I put myself on mute because I thought I was going to cough, but I held it. Actually, my favorite jerseys this year have been the all black jerseys. I think they're sick. That Broncos jersey was awesome. The Waz one, awesome. I really want to get my hands on all 3 of them, to be fair. And I'm a Storm fan, but I just think they're sick.
There you go, jersey collectors. If you're out there, message the page, get hold of Trav. He wants to get his jersey.
I'll hang it up.
We will. Look, obviously a huge wrap for Penrith. You all seen the post. I'm going to basically sit here right now and take credit for what happened today, because I reckon Ricky Stewart and Cam Serrato has seen that status. A lot of the players have seen that post last night and gone, hold my beer, Joel Johnston, because we are right in this competition as well, and we deserve the premiership favourite title. That's the Canberra Raiders, who today put on 44 points against the Newcastle Knights. And then Cam Serrato and Stephen Crichton said, yo, hold our beer, hold our UDL, and we'll put on 42 points against the Manly Sea Eagles. So, first of all, that second game at Allianz Stadium, Bulldogs, go tomorrow to the NRL and change your home ground to Allianz Stadium, because that was unreal. That was tremendous atmosphere. I know you've had some big crowds that are called this year, but that Allianz at your set stadium moving forward, I think would be amazing. So please make sure that does happen. But Trav, the Raiders and the Dogs, as I said, they both flexed their muscles today. They both put on some really good performances. Now, I'm going to go slightly different with both teams. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, because I think for the Raiders, their first half was really ordinary. They weren't great. And I thought, here we go again. They're going to just get a win against a lower placed team. And it felt like they've just been in cruise mode for so long. Now, the second half, I didn't feel like much changed in their play or how they were playing, but all of a sudden they just started putting it all together and they just racked up. All of a sudden they're on 44 points. So I still think the Raiders have a couple of gears to go up. their attack is just humming at the moment. When they've got players and they've got a post coming out over the next day or so about him. But when someone like Tomoko is back in form, to have that extra bit of the puzzle there now where they've got so much avenues to attack from. When you now have one of the better centers in the game in form, just adds a whole different beast. And you've just got another part of that edge to look after. Then the Dogs, that game back and forth against Manly was a top quality game. That first half was so good. And again, they came out in the second half and just blew Manly away. They just felt like Manly didn't come out of the sheds, where the Dogs came out after having 3 Red Bulls each, and they just absolutely blitzed the second half. 2 polar opposites ways they went about it, Trav. They both end up getting the similar results, 44 and 42 points, and both are right up there alongside the likes of Penrith and your Melbourne Storm as the 4 teams to beat in this competition.
The Raiders is what you're sort of saying. I actually think what you said sums it up really well. They didn't really do too much other than just have a little bit extra class, plus some very key stuff ups by the officiating that really that helped them. Like the 18, it was 18 all, man. Like it was 18 all at halftime, I think, wasn't it? So at halftime they were going. The Knights were really good, and I thought the Knights actually started the second half really well. That Dom Young run up the edge came all the way out. They did a really good job. They sent it out to Gagai, and Gagai unfortunately got a little bit soft. Tried to sort of touch pass it, which is un-Gagai like, but it was a very key moment that he just had to take that. He really just had to use all his experience and just take that hit, or at least take the hit and then offload it, or do it. Instead of touch passing it, that's stuffed up. They go up the other end and they get a try and make it 24-18. There was another obstruction issue. Tell me now, like, I've got to question this, the tackle on the ground, the completed tackle on the ground. Like, to me, it's black and white. It's written. Like, for someone who needs things to be black and white and written there, that rule is pretty clear. Like, I don't understand, but yet for the last 3 weeks, I'm questioning myself, thinking either I can't read or I've got absolutely no idea. And people, there's your opportunity to get in the comments and say, Trav, you got no idea, because like it blows my mind to watch that, and then that resulted in a try. I don't think Crossland was zero attempt to try and get through that. All Crossland had to do is take a step and run into him, and it was an obstruction. Crossland just stood there, turn. That's it. So I have no issues with that. And Starling crossing for that try was great for my draft team to get me into the League of Inches Inch of Glory Cup. But that's for Supercoach Pod on Tuesday. But like that completed tackle on the ground, just that blows my mind. Like he was on the ground. The tackle wasn't completed. Hunt slips off, but then he gets his hands back on him. So, like, I don't get how that sort of completed tackle. So there's 2 monumental mess ups there that resulted in 2 tries, which it just kills the back of a team like the Knights. And when you're on the bottom of the ladder, decisions and they're key issues when you're on the bottom of the ladder that really stuff you around, and you need things to go your way. And when you don't get those types of calls, you sit there and think, not only are we battling our injuries, and not only are we battling the top team, we're battling the shittier. It breaks the backs of them, which I think is disappointing. And then on the Dogs, I said at the start, like, they literally, and I think you said it really well, the Dogs then turned up and say, here, boys, hold my beer. We're freaks. Like, what they did an attack against Manly, who are not a bad team. Like, let's be fair. They're fighting for the 8. Are they numbers in the 8? Yeah, I think they are. They're just making up numbers, but they're not a bottom of the ladder team. You know, they're the Manly Seagulls, and they made them look like kids. Like that, they made them look like a second fiddle Resi's under 18s team. Like it was just phenomenal to watch what the Bulldogs did. They just overpowered them. They had defensively, they just couldn't get anywhere. It was that grit. But then it was like Burton's kicking game, Burton's running game. Like, they're a whole different team. Galvin running the ball and doing what he's doing now, and it's making everyone sit there. And he's the way he's playing. Everyone's going, you know, everyone should start questioning their ability to have a go at Galvin and what he's done, because he's showing that they're a completely different team when he starts to get the cogs rolling. Like Bronson Cherry with 2 massive tries. That one try where he sat on Turbo, he caught the ball from the 13, took a few meters. Turbo tries to get him. He literally carried him and Saab to the try line. Freak, man. I couldn't believe, like, watching that. I was just like, unreal. Like, yeah. And then even Tuala, who steps in today on the wing, like, he was just great. Like, the Bulldogs just turned up and said, hang on, everybody, I'm actually the team to beat.
Yeah. And the most impressive thing about Sherry's second half efforts was it was after getting 2 size 20 boots of kick out straight through his face.
Broke his head,
how he came back from that, I got no idea. That would have been enough for me to go, I'm out of here. I'm just done with rugby league. So you could see in the replays, kick out felt bad as well. I felt worried. I was like, oh no.
How funny was it when he gets off the ground and they all get around him and then they all just started laughing and having a go at each other, and you could lip read some of the things that they were saying. I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, oh man.
One thing you mentioned, and it has been something we've been quite boisterous and quite critical of over the last month or two, with the Lachlan Galvin appointment, I really want to talk about just quickly, because I was very worried about the impact it would have on Matt Burton. And because I feel like Matt Burton is the guy at this Bulldogs side. He's crucial. And I think we've seen that today. When Matt Burton is on and in one of those moods, the Dogs lift and they just go with him. And I was so worried that what they did here and mixing up the halves, where Sexton knew his role and he knew get the ball to Matty Burton, and that's how we sort of play. Where at the start so far, it felt like Lockie Galvin's trying to make sure the side understands who he is, and okay, this is sort of my team in a way now. Where today, it just all of a sudden all worked, and it just felt like Galvin had his moments and was great, but then Matty Burton was like
sensational.
He was very close to being in our top 3 players of the round. He was that good. He was running, like, I think in the first 20 minutes, I remember them say the stat where he had already ran for 6 or 8 times and ran with purpose a lot of those. He was just in a mood from the get-go today. It must have been those jerseys. I'm not too sure. Those jerseys on her side note were amazing, by the way. So keep these heritage jerseys coming, clubs, because they are – everyone that's come out this year has been spot on, in my opinion. The Tigers one, we haven't even talked about it yet, but they brought one out during the week. That is a thing of beauty as well. But, yeah, Matty Burton for mine, Trav. I like the fact that this is now looking like it's coming together. Freakish performance by the man in the headgear, the big dog. I know Crichton's the big dog, but Matty Burton just has this spot for mine when I think about the Dogs, that they know if Burton's on, the Dogs are on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And didn't he look today like he was just in so much freedom? He just hasn't looked like that the last 3 or 4 weeks. Like today, he just felt like he was free. Hey, like he had 237 meters. That's your 5'8", and we know, like, what is Burton renowned for? Obviously, he's renowned for being a runner and he's kicking, right? But not like that. 237 meters is just ridiculous. But I'm just going to go through some stats. There was 30.
Oh no.
The Bulldogs today. Like, that's stupid numbers. 37. Tracy, 307. Carraz, 196. Cherry, 186. Crichton, 74. Tuala, 186. Burton, 237. Galvin, 148. King, 107. Kickout, 126. Preston, 117. Harry Hayes, 105. Like, what the hell? Like, were Manly, they were just statues. Like, they were made to look like statues. And to be fair, I'm not going to turn around and say that Manly were shithouse, because they were made to look like that. They were made to be that way, because the Bulldogs were just phenomenal. Unreal. It was, what a game. And I'm really scared of the Bulldogs and how they've gone. And I said it from the start. We've just got to, from the start of the year, just watch what they do, because this year they've had a preseason and we knew what their blood and bone was defense. That hasn't changed. When they start to find that attacking power, and now they've got a halfback in Galvin who's renowned for being an attacker, it's a different team.
The Dogs are having a party, that is for sure. That is us for another round review. Round 21 is done in the book. So we start to look forward to round 22. Obviously got our Supercoach podcast being released Tuesday night. Make sure you check into that one, Supercoaches. Plenty to talk about after an up and down week for some of us, green arrows for others. And then Wednesday night, our live show promises to be a big one off the back of a couple of these big guys flexing their muscles, these big teams, and a few of those stars. Plenty of talking points, no doubt, will erupt from this, and a few key injuries and the story out of those. Notably, obviously, Olaquado. No doubt this will be a talking point over the next 24 hours, whether they did rush him back, things like that. We will cover it on the Wednesday night show. So messages in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about anything we discussed tonight or in this episode. Let us know your thoughts. Grill us, agree with us, do whatever you got to do. We'll reply always. We'll have a discussion like we always like to do. Smash that like and subscribe button, and we will see you again during the week. Goodbye.